All right, all right. It's on me tonight, and as always, have my illustrious host to introduce Dr. Gail and God. Hey, Dr. Gail.
Hey, listen, I had a bit of difficulty. I'm so sorry. But tonight we continue our conversation. How you been? You good?
I'm good. I got, things going on, but it's all good. That's what we do.
Okay.
It's called living, and
Living
sometimes it's
because
up.
it's life. Uh-huh.
Sometimes it's down, sometimes it's stressful, sometimes it's not. But I think we're giving a good example to people tonight about how you don't give up on each other and you keep
Yeah.
working together, even in the
Yeah.
midst of the situation that you're working through. You keep the communication flowing through
Yeah.
multiple channels and you make it happen in spite of
Absolutely. In spite of.
where you
Yep.
feel
Life is
heavy.
beautiful. Life is beautiful. You're right. The ups and downs is what keeps us going. And we have tonight continuing our conversation about the ups and downs and how we mesh ourselves together, even in the face of divorce. And this is part two to that wonderful conversation, that robust conversation we had a few weeks back. And so we have Dr. Pastor Stanley Michaels, who is going to shed some light on the issue. Right? So Dr. Michael is a retired pastor, a certified family educator with an earned PhD in sociology. Look at that, of religion from Boston University. All right, now, Dr. Michael.
Hey,
Yes, how are you, sir? Good evening.
hi, Gail. Good evening. And Michael, who borrowed my name.
Yes, I am so pleased. I'm super pleased that you're here with me. Dr. Michael is a local retired pastor. We attend the same church. We have been, well, he has been encouraging me and, been a pillar in our community. And we all look to him as a father, as an uncle, as a big brother, all the good things, right, Dr. Michael? So
you, you,
tonight, so I
you
want to
always
tell
make
you,
you, you
I'm
always
going to
make
give you.
me feel special.
Yes, you are a special guy. So I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourself to the people, tell them what we're about. But I want to put you on the road. I put you on the road because you're from where I'm from. So this my co-host here, he is something else, Dr. Michael, and he
I
wants to
know.
talk about divorce and all kind of things. So I'm gonna tell you, you handle he, put he in Jesus' hands. Yes.
You're
Okay,
taking
go ahead.
liberty with my
Let's
namesake,
introduce yourself.
Gail.
Yes.
You're, you're
He's
taking
a
liberty
good
with my
guy. He's a good
namesake.
guy. Overall, he's a good guy. He's a good
We're
guy.
already on the same page. We have the same name.
Okay,
So
Of course.
don't gang up on me now, Dr.
You know
Michael.
what our name means, right, Gail? Our
What do you mean, the
name,
angel,
Michael.
the
Michael means
archangel?
who is like God.
Who is? All right,
Michael, who's like God.
I'm gonna shut my mouth.
So, Mike, you have to hold that name honorably, okay?
hey, that's what I do. That's what Gail's complaining about. You know how it is. You know how it is.
Oh,
Okay.
go ahead, Dr. Michael. Introduce yourself to the people. Tell them who you are and
Well,
what you do.
you've already done that. I have been professionally. I'm a retired pastor. My life has been in ministry. My wife and I, we worked for way back from 19. Oh, before you were born, 19. I began my ministry in 1969. Retired in 2010. Married to a wonderful lady from the beautiful island of St. Kitts, and we have three daughters. Um, they all three live in Georgia. One is a physician. The other one is a certified social worker, and the other one is an educator. And we have 11 grandchildren. So that's where we are, retired and trying to live above the headaches and the heartaches that we have all around us. Try to be quiet and peaceful.
Living
And
life.
when I see people like you make me smile. Remember I told you I love you?
I love you too, sir. I love
I
you with my
told you
whole
that
heart.
when I met you. You impressed me so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. We
yeah.
given Michael in the islands. We said Tabanka. He's getting Tabanka. So please just love me up so he could just have Tabanka on the side. He doesn't know what that means. That's okay.
I have
It's
no
our
clue
joke.
what it means, but I think I like it. I think I like it.
Jealous. He's trying to make you jealous, Michael.
Yeah.
That was my first thing with Gail too. Instant love,
Really?
just a bright spirit, and
Yeah.
eager to learn.
Yeah.
Okay.
To make her way. So it's all love.
Okay.
Pastor Michael, we tell the story that I met him some years ago when I went to Andrews University.
Really?
Yeah, he was my professor. And so I thought he was this old wisdom guy with years on me, like I'm like, oh my God, he's impressive. And at the time I was younger, way younger, in my early 20s. So if I was in my early 20s, he had to be in his early 20s as well. But I think he was completing his PhD, right?
Okay.
Correct.
Or close to. He was doing his all but dissertation. But I recently found out that we're the same age. Can you believe that?
Yeah, your professor, right? That's great.
Yeah.
You're in education, Mike. When you're at Andrews, you taught at the education department.
Yeah, in the social work department.
Oh, so Alvin Gabriel was your colleague there.
Yes.
All right.
Good folks, some really good folks at Andrews.
Oh, really? Yeah.
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 Best interactions over there.
Definitely. Okay. Yeah, I was there myself. My wife and I, we did our masters there, and then from there, I went on to Boston. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, you got some stuff to help us out with tonight. This show is all about resilience. This topic is about resilience and divorce, and I have questions. So we have 3 segments to get into. The first one is to that beginning of fostering resilience. And so to start this off, the reason that Gail is trying to prompt you and get you on her side is because I have this perspective after divorce that it really is a free-for-all, and nobody's ever gonna tie me down again, and I'm never gonna have those stressors. And the peace that you're talking about with your wife, I don't think you can get it with another person, because they're always gonna be on you about something. So I'm excited about being by myself.
Really?
And in that, I've learned that the missing piece when I was in a relationship was that I didn't, as wise as I am in a lot of ways, and as mature as I was in a lot of ways, I wasn't mature in knowing who I was outside of that relationship. And so that became a tension in the context of the relationship. I can own that piece, but Gail is trying to convince me that no, there's some kind of situation where you can actually enjoy that piece that you found now again with someone. And I'm like, yeah, I don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
What's your reaction to that?
I would say I agree with Gail. Maybe you're holding on too much to the past, Mike. Could it be?
Yeah.
That you're still living in that in yesteryear.
Mm-hmm.
You're not giving yourself an opportunity to start over. And so maybe you need to let go somewhat of the past, cherish all the pleasant memories, and say, hey, listen, I could try again, and I think that I could make a success of it this time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that's where
part of the resilience, not getting into the same boat again, like learning. Isn't there a lesson that don't jump in that same boat?
We always say that the greatest risk in life is not taking any risks. Mm-hmm. So you have to take that risk.
Yeah.
You don't think that? What do you think of that?
I think? Oh,
Michael, Gail. Gail, go ahead.
I want to jump in. Like, give me a chance at it.
Wait, he was on your side, so I'm like, whoa, don't. You said don't jump on you, don't gang up on you. I'm like, wait a minute, this is going the wrong way already.
It's good. So that's Pastor Stanley, Pastor Michael. You know what I said to him? I said the same thing. I think that And Michael, you said this before, and I'm going to harp on that one phrase. You said, listen, life happens. We don't wait till life happens to be ready to go through the issues and to work through them, right? That we prepare ourselves. Everything that we're doing, we're preparing for when life doesn't happen the way we want it. And I look at divorce as one of that times, right? But I think through healing, so obviously you're not healed, in my opinion. So I think through healing and the and navigating the processes of forgiveness, where you bring yourself to a point, right, of again accepting that you can bring yourself to a point of accepting, of starting over, owning, right, that you made mistakes, that it wasn't perfect, that things happened, but I am healed enough to know I can be this for somebody else. You see, I am very relational, Pastor Michael, right? So even
Yeah.
if I'm divorced and it was a bad divorce, I still have hopes in falling in love again and offering my best self. Now, having gone through that, like Michael, understanding some things, owning my faults, owning my mistakes, and using those as pillars and stepping stone to get me to where I need to be. And I believe in being the healed person that I am or that I aspire to be, I can also attract that person, not someone who's broken, not Michael, but someone who can help me. I have mesh with me on that journey.
Mhm.
What do you say?
I agree with you. And you use the word, I think, twice, the word of forgiveness. Maybe in retrospect, I probably need to look back and see if I contributed in any way towards that divorce, because I think the natural thing is to blame the other person. But could it be that I made my own contribution to this divorce, and do have a willingness to forgive that person for whatever they did, knowing that I might be just as guilty in some respect, and we just move on. I I remember this guy when I worked in New York. This guy, he and his wife, they were driving along, and and they got into an argument. She started fighting with him with the steering wheel. The car ran off the road, hit a tree, and she was killed.
Oh
I don't know
God.
if he has. Up to when I left New York a couple of years after, the house remained the same. Her clothes remained in the closet and everything. Um, what that suggested to me that to some extent he was taking blame for it all when they both were arguing. Um, so he was not letting go. I don't know if he has as yet. I don't know if he has. But we just have to let go, accept responsibility, and whatever contribution that we have made, because of that, maybe we're willing to forgive the person for whatever they did. And as we rightly said earlier, you just have to make a change. Or you're going to be tied. You can't be tied to the past for the rest of your life. It might be difficult for me after almost 54 years of marriage. I don't know how I could go on. After that length of time, it's sort of difficult to imagine moving on or let's say starting over. I can't think of that. But for a younger person like you, there's so many years ahead of you that you can be a prisoner of the past.
Ah, there you are. That's what I'm saying. Because you're seeing me as young, and I see myself as old. I tell people all the time. They're like, "Well, Michael, you got and this another thing," and I'm like, "Nah, I don't got that much left, so I am not gonna waste it." Because, and you tell me this, because this is one of the biggest things with relationships in particular. One of the challenges for me, beyond, facetiously I say, some of the things that I say, they're not completely true, except that my end result is going to be what I'm saying. But some of the pieces are just the most hilarious ways for me to say it. So the real challenge is when you're in a relationship, and in the church we call it unequally yoked. But I think even bigger than that is when you're challenged by a relationship that's pulling in different directions. And you want to be, like Gail said, you want to be relational and engaged. And that person has brokenness themselves, so that they don't recognize that opportunity as an opportunity for openness. And, I always say, if it's me and somebody, it's us against the world. And we're going to influence the world. It's not us fighting against the world. It's us influencing the world in a positive way. And I think a lot of relationships, even the ones that we look at as healthy, I find, even in my coaching practice, that those relationships aren't the healthiest. Like the brokenness just works for the two people, and they talk in terms of that, but they are not influencing the world for the better. If you get what I'm saying, and that's the challenge. So I wonder, when you think about my perspective, which I'm giving you this stark contrast to Dr. Gail, but when you think about my perspective, what is the place for the other person to really get whole and honest with themselves about how they want to engage with another person in partnership to change the world? Because I get it. Yes, I can move on, but this girl has to be very confident. She has to be she's got to be very mature in herself. She's got to understand that the phone calls from the hurting, even if they're broken and they're inappropriate, that doesn't impact me, because I'm not inappropriate. I'm mature. I'm whole. And so she doesn't have to fear those situations. So it's not just, the challenge of me not being ready. It's also not wanting to put a woman in that spot who may not be ready for that responsibility.
Part of a partnership, don't you think that it's something that you both work on together, and see exactly what do we need, what the goal is, where do we want to go with this? What do I want out of it? What do you want out of it? And see if we can find common grounds. How about that?
And that's what I think. That's why I said honest first, because I think they lie. Pastor Michael, I'm fine. I'm really attractive. So they will lie to try to get me. And I'm like, dude, don't do that. That's not okay. Like, I heard from marriage counseling, and we went through the whole list. I'm like, yes, I agree with that. She just wanted to get me. That wasn't, nah.
I am laughing because, Gail, we have a member of our church, one of the few bachelors in our church, who thinks that every woman out there is lying.
I don't think so. I think
no, he's wrong, but he thinks that way. They're just pretending.
Yeah,
This guy's already in his 50s, man. He thinks every woman out there is lying, but that's not true.
Yeah,
you have to take that risk.
You have to take the risk. I think what he just states is a lot to unpack. There's just so many levels to what he's saying. And I could think of two right away. I think, Dr. Wright, and you're right, I think when you're going through your healing process, or that you find yourself at a place of arrival, that you are now willing to own your mistakes, willing to own your faults, and you really truly want to move on. And the place that you have find yourself healed, the persons that are out there not on your level, right? And then you are fearful that you're going to retract rather than moving forward, right? I hear the list. You're not saying 1, 2, 3, 4, but I see it. There's a list. There are criterias, right? These are the things that I want out of my mate. And if you don't have them, then I don't know it's going to work. What I heard you said that was profound is that we need to be against the world. I need to be confident. I need to be sure that you are on this level with me and we can face the world together, not face the world fighting each other. You've done that, been there. You're not interested in doing that. I also hear that you say age is a problem. I don't know. You're still 50. You're 50 years old. I'm gonna tell the world. So that is very still young, I think.
Oh yeah.
to
Oh, yeah.
start
Can I do the
thinking, and I
Tinder
think what
cam
is
now?
beautiful. I think what is beautiful about this particular age is the maturity, right? And that you're not just somebody's forcing your hand, and it's not the peppy love or I see her and she's pregnant, I'm gonna have a baby and we're gonna get married. That you make a conscious choice to choose the partner that you want to spend the rest of your life with. And how would you know? You won't just sit from where you are and assume. You have to take the risk, like Pastor said, right? This is
Yeah.
why we date, or that you have people who could vet people. Although that dating situation is a situation, I'm going into all in different men in my space.
Yes,
Jesus doesn't have
we
to send them to my
definitely get
door.
into
Like,
that
really,
second
Lord, can
segment.
you bring
Yes.
them to the door? So I know that is it. I don't want to really be up in all of that, right? But I get what you're saying. You have to take the risk. You have to take the risk and trust that in prayer. This is why you came in. He comes in, my Pastor Michael, with prayer, continuous working on yourself and discernment, right? You can't do this by yourself. This is a God thing. That God would lead you to the right person, or would lead the right person to you, is what I'm saying. What do you say to that, Dr. Michael?
I agree. Well, Mike said that I'm on your side already, so I might as well stay there. But yeah, you have to be careful about being overly cautious, because what it means is that if you are, everybody else is a suspect.
Right.
You're going to be suspicious of every woman who comes around.
And that is broken. That's still brokenness. You have that.
Exactly. And
But
that's
then
what you
you're
have to
right
be
so
careful of.
many times, and that's right.
What does she want? What does she want? What is she looking for? What is she expecting? So you're going to be constantly under the defense,
Yeah.
overly protected, overly protecting. You're going to be protecting yourself because you're suspicious that she's coming after something, and I'm not sure that I'm prepared to give. And so you have to let go. And
And
as
you know
we've been
what?
saying on the
Yeah. But you know what is dangerous though is that it's the fact that he's so still protective and could be so careful and still be so careful in finding the wrong person or being attracted to the wrong person in all of that protective fear, I don't want to type of thing, right? That would be the irony of that whole situation. But I think you're holding on too much to the control of it, right? You want to control the entire narrative. You want to control your narrative and control hers, right? And I don't think that's how it works. I think when you're healed, you let go and let God lead you to, and trust that He would lead you to the right person. And sometimes the right person is staring right up in your face, and you're trying to look for somebody over their head, and then you get yourself in funk. FUNK. I can't curse. I'm a good Christian woman, right? So we have to be very careful, right, Pastor Michael?
I totally agree with you. You have to do that. And as you rightly said, the situation, you cannot control yours and that person's. And here's where time comes in. Here's where time comes in. Of course, they say to see me and to live with me, they're two different things altogether. But still, the more time you have, is the more you are allowed in learning and seeing and even influencing,
Mhm.
understanding that person and maybe influencing that person.
Mhm.
So time
Growing.
is a very important factor here. There's no need to rush. But of course, you can't spend the rest of your life waiting, Mike.
Yeah.
You have to take a step forward.
Well, and see, I think the thing that you guys are missing is I think that there's value in doing the work that you're called to do, regardless of who's signing up to do it next to you.
Okay.
And that's my experience. Is you're like I would say in all deference to the professional opinions on the panel tonight, I am completely healed, but I'm also tired of having to fight the fight of someone else's self-esteem. It's not that I'm trying to control anything, but I would like to, if you're signing up for me to be your helpmeet and you're still like you're wondering what your value is in the context of our relationship, and I tell you that your value is priceless, or I tell you that your priceless is 100 bars of gold, cattle on 1,000 hills. If I tell you that, and you're still unsure, yes, I would like to control that. I would like to be able to turn the knob up and say you are. And please don't. Well, Michael, you just give flowers and you just no, dude. I'm telling you, I'm awesome. I'm that guy. I literally have been called that guy recently by people.
Yes.
Like people telling you about that. They're lying about some other stuff. But my point is, it's so much about the focus of the work. And I think the only difference is I have that same book about prayer and engagement and focusing on the opportunity and the risk. But the cover of my book just says, "Leave me alone. Let me do the work." That's the only difference. And I think so. That's what I want to ask you, Dr. Michael. Can that version work? Because the work is more important than the relationships or the romantic relationships. The work is more important in my mind. Or is there a way to put those together, a resilient way to put those together?
I think it's something that Gail is now there. Yeah, the work is of course more important than the romantic relationship. I think the work makes a romantic relationship even more meaningful. And so I think that the work comes first, and it has to be maintained. I reminded a friend of mine not very long ago that the wise man says, the Solomon in Ecclesiastes 12, that there comes a time when desire fails, meaning that it's not all about the romantic relationship, because one day it's not going to be a lot of that. But the work that you put in will have to stay. It has to remain. Yeah. So they both complement each other. But I agree with you totally on this matter that the work is maybe the most important part of it. I do agree with that. But I'm afraid, though, that in preparing, that you could be overly cautious. Mm-hmm. You could be overly cautious, and that is what you have to be careful with, because if you're overly cautious, then you'll never find someone that you're going to say, "Well, this is it. I'm satisfied with this one," because you'll be wondering, "Am I doing the right thing? Is this really the right one? Let me move on and try somebody else and see what's out there." But the work, you have to put that work in yet. But don't let it keep you stymied. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Put it in.
I appreciate that, and I really want to, as we go into the break, I wanted to get into that in the next segment. We've got a segment on promoting healing and promoting health. Actually, promoting health is the next segment. So we'll be back right after the break.
Okay.
At Maw Media Group, we often say our tagline, "When you succeed, we succeed." But what does that mean practically? I think this is a good way for you to understand the service stream of Maw Media Group and the various things we call soup to nuts that we can help you with. We have boiled this down into 5 M's: make, map, manage, multiply, and maintain. So think about the life cycle of your product and your business, and think about how you might best complete the goal of increasing your revenue or creating revenue streams.
And we are back. Gail, Dr. Gail, we are moving into another segment. Did you want to say something about this segment? Facilitating. That is not the right segment. Let me start again. Promoting health. We're looking at promoting health.
Promoting health.
We ended on that good note, but what's your thought here?
My thought is, I think this is a really good topic of discussion, and I think divorce is one that has those three segments, right? The resilience part, and I think the resilience is the fact that you can start again, that you can heal, you can do the work to become the person that you need, right? To be, so you could partner with whomever, and that leads into the health of who you are, right? Feeling whole promotes health. Feeling whole give you a sense of self-worth, self-esteem. You can restart again, you can build again. Your finances might have been fractured as a result of divorce, but now because the resilience get you to the point where you are doing the healthy work, right? So that you can be productive, right? And so now you're doing all those things. And so health, I don't know that health is that we work towards and we're there. I think health is continuous. It's something that we constantly work towards our entire lives, right? Health is something that we have to do. Health is what we don't want to do and what must be done so that we can remain or stay afloat. Dr. Michael, what does, in all your many years of practicing and being pastors, and not pastors, but pastor to your congregants, what do you see as health in relationship from a divorce even?
What do I say? Health.
Yeah, what's a health from a divorce?
I want to think that it's a matter of knowing exactly who you are. You're certain of who you are, um, and who you are is really not dependent on that relationship that you have gotten out of with that person. And that person, I've said it more than once. When somebody said, "Oh, me, I'll never get married again," so. I'm saying, but what you're actually saying, that person that you divorced from for whatever reason, that person's controlling your life.
Right.
They're controlling you because if you're not getting married again because of what that person did, or what that person said, or what fights you both had, that person is controlling you for the rest of your life. So that health for me, I mean, after divorce, is knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and work towards that. Irrespective of the past, you can be healed if you need to be counseled to get assistance from someone, psychotherapist or whatever. But you need to come back to knowing who you are and plan your own life, and go forward without the baggage. That's a bad word, but leaving all the problems behind and begin all over. You are a new person. It's not saying that the memories are not going to be there, but they're not going to be controlling you. They're not going to be controlling you.
Is self-love part of that healing?
I don't know what you call self-love. I guess again, I want to think of it as knowing who you are and being satisfied with who you are. You may have goals that you want to achieve. You may want to make $1 million. You may want to get a second or third PhD. You may want a position, and you may want to become the general conference president or CEO at Apple. Whatever. But it's knowing who you are, your confidence in who you are. This is who I am, and this is what I want, and that's what I'm going to work at. No one is going to stop me from doing this.
So I have a question.
That's what he calls self-love? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's it. Knowing who you are, being confident in who you are, and doing what you can for yourself. Loving you first, investing in you so that you can be the better person. So, Pastor Michael, we've had quite a bit of taboo languages in our churches concerning folks who are divorced. What does God say about divorce for people? Because people are bound to this idea that I can't be remarried again from a divorce, or that it's a doom and gloom. I have committed the unpardonable sin, and God will love me because of so forth and so on. What is biblically based as far as divorce, and how can someone move forward?
No, really, the problem is really not so much the divorce in our church. Some may make it sound as the problem is divorce. The problem really is not divorce. The problem comes in when you're discussing a remarriage. If you may ask the question, what does God thinks about divorce? In Malachi, he said he hates divorce. Malachi chapter 3, God says, I hate divorce. But I don't think that God wants any of us to be held imprisoned in an unhappy relationship for the rest of our lives. So that if it is that, and here's where the preparation for marriage is so important. And you must know exactly what you're going into and why you're going into it. Of course, we do change, human beings, we do change. Whatever the circumstances are, we go through these life changes. And so life changes may bring us to a point where we are not happy with where we are and we want to leave. But for the Christian and the Seventh Adventist Church, as we all are, it's really the problem for us in the church is really not the problem of getting divorced, but the problem comes in the discussion begins at the point of remarriage, because too many people are just getting divorced willy-nilly and they just get up and they get married again. If we're going to be governed by the principles of Jesus in Matthew chapter 19, it has to be that because of unfaithfulness in the marriage. If it's not there, the church says to you, hey, look, we're not telling you that you can't be divorced, but we're going to say to you, you're not going to be remarried except it is.
And so can you explain unfaithfulness? What is unfaithfulness?
To the marriage relationship, you are married, and any unfaithfulness in terms of a romantic relationship with someone, do I say by word, thought, or deed? Maybe I could say that because Matthew 5:28 says, he that looketh upon a woman to lust. You didn't know Jesus said that, to look upon a woman to lust. I know that. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, well, I said, say that. But of course, we're not thinking that way, but we're thinking of any behavior that is a step over the boundary of faithfulness to your partner. And
so we live in an age now, Pastor Michael, of unfaithfulness may constitute to many other things. So adultery, is that adultery? Adultery, yes. Having a sexual relationship with another person that is not your spouse, right? Mm-hmm. Can unfaithfulness be in the form of finances or unfaithfulness? I'm not trying to make light of it, I promise you. I'm not even trying to be the devil's advocate. I'm really trying
No, you're right to ask
some of the possibilities that we deal with in today's world, right? Is it just the adultery, or can there be unfaithfulness and adultery manifest themselves in other form that is not sexual, or that it has to be a sexual situation, right? That's one. And another, every marriage that we see or that we've been in, is it one that is sanctioned by God, right? So that when a separation comes, how do we get to the next step? But answer the first question. So the first part is
whether or not it's, rather than saying sexual, I'd rather say romantic. It doesn't have to be sexual, but it can be romantic. Okay. What we say with the phrase we use, the PDA is one of those things, public display of affection. Right. I don't think it has to be sexual. I think it has, once it's a relationship that has romantic connections. So, because sin is really qualitative. It's really not a quantitative thing. It's not something that you actually do, but something that you really think. It all begins, and that's why Jesus says, just to look upon whom to lust. Mm-hmm. It's an act of adultery. Mm-hmm. So it's all here, but it has to be measured. So you can't measure me by what I'm thinking, because you don't know. I have to do it for you to see it, and then the measurement is there on which you can act. I can't think. I would want to think that when it comes to things like finances, it's more business-like, and I think the boundaries should really be set there, that we're business partners. The other day, I was looking at a video out of this guy in Kenya. He had two wives, actually, he started off as having this one wife, and then he started into a business relationship with another woman, and then got romantically involved and got married to this woman. And the first, of course, it's a different culture. First wife accepted the second wife, and they're the greatest of friends, that sort of thing. So if it's going to be, if money's involved, it should be a clear-cut understanding that this is a business relationship, and leave the romantic part out of it. So for me, my understanding here is that the unfaithfulness comes to play when you're speaking about romantic, whether it's sexual or non-sexual, mental commitment to that person in terms of romance. Yeah.
Mental commitment.
And Dr. Gail, so that's that hard question for you as you're sitting this place, the representative of all women out there. That example with the two wives, one that's the romance and one's the business partner. Can you go along with that? Is that something that your future husband would have no problem with, or would you beat him up every time he gets home? Verbally. I know you could take him physically, but I'm just saying verbally.
I can't stand you. But that's an interesting concept. As I get older and I consider remarrying and consider what love and romance is about, I am allowing myself to be open. Don't quote me. I'm allowing myself to be open to not other ideas, but truly what does a marriage relationship entails. I don't believe in polygamy, really, or even to be a second wife to somebody. But I, like Dr. Michael, I would have seen things and allow myself to even have the conversation in my mind, right? Processing that. Again, I was raised right. I was raised by grandparents who believe in love and relationship and marriage the biblical way.
And Dr. Michael, just so you know, she's a Capricorn and I'm an Aries. So
we don't do Capricorn. I don't believe in signs. And
I don't know. I know maybe, but I don't know what it means.
Good. See, he's on my side the whole way. Good,
Look,
Dr. Michael.
She's a Church of Ephesians. I'm a Galatian.
I love you, Dr. Michael. Don't be distracted by the Capricorn and Aries. Right. So yes, I wanted the biblical way. I recognize that the relationship that I have had was one that was based, I own it. It was one that was based on brokenness. It was based on whatever childhood trauma that I was dealing with or whatever I was trying to run away from. And those are the people, just as how what I was dealing is the people I attract, right? But now in this particular stage, now in this point, this is where I'm at right here, I want to attract what is whole. I think, I don't know that I have arrived, but I think that I'm working towards what wholeness is, and I want what wholeness is in God. I don't know if there's a perfect couple. I don't know no one is perfect. I think we come with all the issues that we come with, and whether we manage or we learn to accept, move on, we come with things. But I want to be able to be in relationship where my partner and I could be purposeful partner together. I don't know.
And I
Stop
just
asking me hard questions.
Thank you for that. I didn't want to cut you off, but I just wanted to clarify. We have met the perfect couple. That's why I'm so interested in these conversations, because these folks came on here.
I know we've had a couple at different times. They're engaged, and but they mesh so well together. I think Dr. Michael, that they had to do the work individually before they could even get there. This is why it's beautiful, because they've done the work, and I'm pretty sure they're still continuously doing that work, right?
Correct.
Can I say, I think the biggest thing, and you'll get a sense of this, Pastor Michael, it's the fact that they're working separately is what I'm trying to say. And it's not just the work on yourself. It's really what I want to get back to, that self-love piece. It's when you realize who you are and what you want, and you go after that without worrying about these other people. And then you get to that place where there's a person that's like, oh, I like what you're doing. And you look at them and I like what you're doing. And you can work together.
Correct.
That's a really exciting thing. And you know, Kanuma and his
Sean.
name Sean, they seem to be on that journey, that path together, and it's just the most infuriating thing in the world to watch them be so good together.
I know.
But also to be so good separately, because that's the thing that I'm really inspired by. That's when I talk about doing the work. It's not just the work on me. It's the vision that I have for my business and my career, and you know, these types of things.
Right.
I don't want to allow someone to derail that or to slow that down or to have me taking energy to explain to her why, you know, I mean, come on now. I mean, I was there, but I had to focus on the project, and it's not you. It's you see what I'm saying? Like, that's a whole lot of stuff that if she's not healthy, healed, and on her own journey, that's a lot of time you got to spend. And I'm realizing now, that's why I say I'm not young, because I got 57 years worth of stuff to do, but they say I'm only going to live 23. You know what I'm saying? I'm eating okra and apple juice right now because I'm trying to extend it. But I can't allow somebody to slow me down with that.
So it's all in the head. It's all in the head. And Gail, you mentioned
that's the equally yoked part he's talking about. That's what Kanuma and Sean has, right? And often then we link equally yoked to spirituality and religious practices. No, I think equally yoked is saying that we mesh on all levels, right? And again, notwithstanding people come with their situation, not that at all. Is that the bigger picture, the greater picture is that you see yourself meshing because you have like mind. She's busy doing herself, he's busy doing himself, and somehow they can pull themselves together, right? I think it's holistic, spiritually, physically, mentally, and socially. Yoke.
And of course, you mentioned earlier that you were informed by your upbringing with your grandmother, right? Correct?
Yes.
So a lot of it has to do with that cultural experience, our own cultural experience, especially this way. Okay, let me illustrate. For example, just 2019, we were over in Kenya. I had done a little stint. You know, we have two universities there. I did some time at one of them, but we went back visiting, and one day we were in a discussion with an older lady, and the question we were discussing is polygamy, and well, she's saying, you know, we said there's no polygamous marriage that is altogether 100% healthy, blah, 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 blah. Long and short of the story, there's a younger lady there who is the principal of a high school. And my wife turned to her and said, would you go into a polygamous marriage? Because, I mean, the younger Africans are turning away from being second wives and all that. Does Gail say you wouldn't want to be a second wife? My wife asked her, would you go into a polygamous marriage? And she said, I'm in one. You are? So tell us what's going on. Her husband's job takes him around the country. She's the principal of the high school. She has to be there. When he's on the road, he needs a wife. And she was quite satisfied with that. So you're culturally informed, as you were saying, that as a child with your grandmother, this is what you learn and this is what you want to do. So that's a safeguard too that we have to. It can either help us or hinder us. How much am I informed by my past? How much am I informed by what I see in my own home, my father and my mother, or my grandparents, or my neighborhood? Is it going to be a deterrent, or is it going to be a? It should be a help in helping us to, hey, listen, make right choices. One of the problems I think we're having in these days is that we're not having fathers modeling to their daughters what good husband should be like, or mothers modeling to their sons what good wives should be like. And I think that's a very important education that our young people are missing. I mean, I know a family right now that the parents, the children and their father do not speak. You know why they do not speak? The son said, when I was a child, you were beating up on my mother, but I'm a man now. Do not touch her. Hey, look, what sort of model is that? What is he telling his son he must do when he gets married?
To beat up on
What
his
is that daughter thinking? If she's going to get married, am I going to get married to a man who's going to beat up on me? So the models are so important. And I think that's one of the things that we're lacking so much in our families today, and might be part of the great contribution to marriages not really working. Poor models from parents. Poor models. Yeah.
I think we can take that right into the final segment without even taking a break. I think that's the healing that's needed. And Gail, I think this is really the challenge for you. You need to explore polyamory. So I'll put that out there. But you got to read about it. You can't have an opinion. You got to go read about it first. But the thing that I'm getting at in some seriousness, more seriousness than that comment. But what I'm getting at is, I think in terms of the models, there are different models of how you can engage in relationships and those interactions. And I think the failings are, and this is my opinion from being in it, but also figuring out, okay, what I'm going to do next. I think the failings were in thinking that you're supposed to be everything to the person. And so that African example that you said, for me, it's not so much about the romance and the romantic part, like you said. For me, it's the thing, number one, that his first wife, or the principal wife, because she's a principal, I would call her that, but because she recognized, here are his needs that I want him to fulfill and be fulfilled. And I don't know what that second wife's point of view is, but his commitment to her and to both of them is to be the man in that space. But they're all committed to the betterment of each other. And I'm not saying that any of that is right or wrong, but I think what's happening often with our models is we're not looking for ways to help each other get to where we want to go. We're looking, like I think Gail said earlier. No, it's Pastor Michael. I think no, it was Gail. It was the youth of get married, have a beautiful home, and some kids and a dog. You know, that thing is gone. But I think that's necessarily gone. I think if I were younger and I wasn't tied to that, I would have engaged in more healthy relationships that had to do with me accomplishing what God has placed me here to accomplish, as opposed to adding on this poor model of having a family. You see what I'm saying? There are people that unequally yoked kind of question. You could be equally yoked when you have a vision from God and you get a helpmeet that shares that vision, but then they have their own separate vision where they can engage fully, but they're both supporting each other in getting there so fully until they don't have time for the silly stuff like jealousy and insecurity and all these things that start to be the argument.
I know. And you mentioned, Mike, you mentioned this matter of unequally yoked. Gail, there are folks in our congregation that you don't even know who's married to who, because, I mean, we're not unequally yoked, but we don't even sit together in church. You don't even know who's married to who, because one sits here and one sits over there. So even this whole idea of being equally yoked, you're supposed to be, but you don't even see them together.
Yeah.
So,
that's what you get for living together for so long. They don't like each other. But hold a second. I'm sorry. Michael, go back to the what was the word?
Polyamory.
What does it mean?
It means that you can love more than one person.
Yeah.
And so
I can have more than one husband.
no,
Yeah.
no, that's
No, this is just
polygamy.
love. You can
Right.
have more than one husband. That's a culture by itself. Polygyny is having more than one wife. Polyandry is having more than one husband. We use polygamous as a general term, but
But the ID
polyandry
point is
is
the
to have more
one.
than one husband. Polygyny is to have more than one wife. But polygamy is the overall meaning multiple spouses. But
Well,
Gail, you mentioned you would not be a second wife. Would you be a first wife?
No, I won't be
Okay.
a first nor a second.
and that's
I'll
why
be an
that's why I'm
only
saying
wife. But listen, I just went and I
polyamory.
researched that one term. So I
Just
kind
love
of like the idea though. So let's explore a little bit. I kind of like the idea of having two husbands, really. One paying the bills, one working, and one doing husband duties. That's beautiful. I like that. No, I'm kidding.
What do you think of that, Mike?
That's Michael's fault.
That's what I'm trying. And
It's your fault. You have me thinking I'm a
and
Christian
that's what I'm
woman.
saying. I like it because
My grandmother raised me right. No.
see, because the thing is, I think that's the model. I think the model
You must stop it.
in the
Stop,
model,
stop.
you're thinking to like so think of it this way. So take out the husband name, the title of husband, but think about it as you've got a gardener, you've got a cook,
Wow.
you've got a maid, you've
Yeah.
got a carpenter,
I kind of like that idea.
right? And you have no trouble with like the cool thing if you're polyamorous, they work for free. Like they don't require anything. But that's
Michael.
completely what it looks like.
He needs Jesus.
But
He
go
needs
ahead,
the Lord.
Doctor.
No, I was about saying that you saying this facetiously, but a lot of polygamous marriages in Africa is based on what you're
Actually
saying.
works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a large estate, and I need children to work the estates.
Right.
So I have 2 or 3 wives who give me all these boys to go out there and work.
right.
You know, it sounds facetious, but it's one. I mean, as I told you, I did a little stint at the University of Eastern Africa, and a wife will tell her husband, "Okay, Gail is my good friend," and my wife will tell me, "Look, please, would you please marry Gail so she can become a part of our family?"
Yeah.
And they live. I've seen it. I've gone to the homestead and see the 2 or 3 wives, like 2 or 3 sisters. They're working, they're laughing, one cooking, one washing. So it sounds facetious, Mike, but it's reality.
Oh, yeah.
In a lot of the
African
African cultures, it's the reality.
I could see this
Yeah,
and associate and understand it.
And I
So let's go back to loving more than one person.
well, and that's what I mean by the model. It's because we're so imagine like I would never have multiple wives in the sense that, like you said, it's the fear of coming home and having 3 people questioning what I'm doing and not supporting me, and like it's hard enough with one, right? One being insecure, right? But I think the model that is at least. I think the beginning of it is the self-love, which is knowing who you are and what you want to do. And then people will show up, but they're different models for how they show up is my only point. Like it may not be romantic, but you're so connected to that person. It's a natural connection. And if we could end on anything, I would like to talk about this kind of thing. I think often that's what messes things up. You said this. I know this was Pastor Michael earlier. People want to get divorced willy-nilly, then they want to get remarried. But wait a minute, you got to take time to figure out what your purpose is in the context of all of this.
I agree.
And you missed your whole purpose, and you thought somehow the model was marriage. No, the model might be organizational development or social capital. Like there are other models of how you might engage with other people.
And Michael, I think you're right. In my therapy, my therapist says to me, Gail, you need to have relationship with male that are not sexually oriented or that is husband material. because it's just healthy, right? I think you and I have a good example of that. We've been friends for years and there have nothing been sexual or even romantic about it. I respect you as a professional. You respect me as a professional, right? You support me through my journey. I support you through your journey how best I can. And I think what we do good is misconstrued. We get it confused that because he's a man and he's a figure in my life and he's that, it needs to
And
be
he's
something
fine.
more. And we messed it up, right? Keep
That's
it
what
the
I'm
way
trying to
it
tell
is.
people.
Not every man that you see you have, or even every woman that
Right,
you in
right.
relationship, it has to be one of intimacy or whatever. And then you mess it up completely.
Yeah.
Now, when you guys are heading in the same direction, and that you're spending time together now, you may see, I'm not saying this for everybody, but that special someone, things start to grow, you start feeling a certain way, and you go, but it's a conscious choice that both of you are making, right?
Correct.
You're gonna take the steps together. But give yourself a chance, have all the male friends you want, and be very good with them without
I just saw that last week on a Ricky Lake show. I didn't even know that Ricky Lake was still around. I was on YouTube, just searching around, and Ricky Lake had it. And it was a show about best friends who slept together, and that broke the friendship up.
mess it up.
They're
Wow.
best friends. That they shared all the secrets, everything, and they mistakenly slept together, and that was it of their friendship. Yeah.
I think
So it
we
does
need,
not have to be romantic.
yeah, we need those models where we can
Yeah.
see the benefit. Just like, I mean, we don't have any qualms about hiring a carpenter, a plumber, and they come in, they do the work, and bye, see you later, right? And they might become, good friends, or this is my plumber. I remember when I was living in Nashville, my mechanic, I knew to go to that person. That was the person who I could trust to take care of my car. And we don't recognize how intimate those are, even though they're not romantic.
Relationships, right?
And then don't jump to mess those up with thinking that somehow it's got to be consummated with physical.
And it doesn't have to. In fact,
Right.
it's
It
what
doesn't have to happen. It doesn't have
That's a
to
big
happen.
thing.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Of course, you get the last word, Dr. Michael. So of course,
Man.
Gail's going to say something after you say it, but we call this the last word.
You really want my last word? You really want my last word? I don't think you're ready for my last word.
You want it? Yes, we're ready.
I'm ready. I love
I
it.
think my last word is going to be you two will make a fine couple.
Oh my God.
Oh boy. No, we didn't want your last word.
He doesn't know, Michael. No,
You have known everything. You have known everything about each other, aspirations,
I
hopes,
don't know nothing
dreams,
about him. I promise. I don't
everything.
know
What
nothing
else do you
about
want to
him.
know?
Oh my God.
Yes. No.
No.
I in the spirit of the new models that we're producing, yes, I'm with you. I see it totally what you're talking about.
Oh my God.
I see it totally.
I can't stand you.
You're gonna have your hands full with me from now on, Gail. Every time I see you, I'm gonna ask you for Mike.
I mean, Pastor Michael, I asked you to come on to the show so you can bring some light to the situation.
To speak the truth.
You're going to come on here and make all this trouble. Dr. Michael, I am done with you.
You asked me to come on to speak the truth.
Truth.
Don't psych he up because he for real be thinking things. You got to be very careful when you talk to he. You two
are all ready for each other.
No, we're not.
Thank you, Pastor Michael. It has been a pleasure. You kept me smiling, even though you jumped off of my side for a while, but you came back. I appreciate you so much.
I know. Thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure meeting you. And we all have been alums of the Great Andrews University, so we have that commonality. And at one time, someone spoke to me about coming up there to serve. In fact, twice. Once to be pastor of All Nations Church. Another time was to go to the seminary. My area is sociology of religion, but Michigan is too cold.
Oh yes.
Michigan is too cold.
Brutal.
I went to class one morning and went into the post office with tears in my eyes saying, Lord, what am I doing in this place? No. So it's a joy being with my fellow alums from Andrews
And
University.
Dr. Michael, I just want to say thank you so much. It was a pleasure. It was easy talking. It was a good conversation.
Yeah,
Thank
it was.
you so much for coming on and joining us. We'll have you again, I'm sure. But we'll have to tie Michael to his chair so he cannot move. And we have to feed him
I'll
what to
come on
say.
when Mike is on.
I know you will. I know you will. Thank you so much for joining
And
us.
give me the last word when I come on next time too.
No more last words for you.
Good night. Stay on.